from the Loft 100 studios in sunny San Diego, California. Like how I did that there? Big Biz Show's on the air, 110 million broadcast home strong every weeknight and weekends. We're also live on the radio here and there. We're also replayed on the radio across the country, 150 radio stations. And of course, American Forces Radio Network in 175 countries and all the ships at sea. Great to have you. Big Biz Show on the air. Costa there, Sully here, Day Trader Quattro. Just like that. Ba-doom. Gazinga. Hey, like that. My good friend John. Hey, you guys didn't know John Rood was coming on, did you? You guys would have played some, wouldn't you? I know you would. I'm sure it's on the way out. John Rood, of course, friend of the family, CEO, Momentus Incorporated, soon to be a sponsor. I'm going to make him sponsor the show.
Have to have a rocket sponsor, man.
Yeah, we do, man.
Come on, let's go.
On. Where's the? Do we have a blast off thing? I don't think. Oh yeah. Boom.
Done.
Yeah. Momentus. We fly stuff up. There we go. And if you take the first letter of each one, we F stuff up. No, that's not what it means. No.
Never.
Why I'm not in advertising. But you're seeing that right on the screen. Space Transportation and Infrastructure Services is exactly what Momentus does. They are publicly traded under the stock symbol MNTS. But it's interesting because they conducted their first launch of their Vigoride spacecraft on May 25th. And that was of last year, by the way. Mm-hmm. And they are now in orbit. They've deployed, I think, 8 or 9 customer satellites. And it's an amazing thing. And if you haven't heard the story, our good friend John Rood, CEO, is back in business. John, welcome to the new studio. Can't wait to get you in studio in San Diego sooner than later. How are you, bud?
It's great to be with you. I'll tell you what, the studio looks great, sounds great. I can still smell that new car smell of the place from here.
Yeah, the new studio smell. The new studio smell is Ty and Mike Costa. So. A little bit of Christian.
It's called musk.
Wafting through the thing. Hey, can you take us, since we haven't been on the air for a couple of weeks with you, take us through exactly what Momentus does. You're in an airport, in between flights, somebody says, what do you guys do, John? What is your answer to that?
We're an in-space transportation and services company. And so we make a satellite which carries instruments for hosted payloads for different customers. We do, in some cases, provide to commercial customers, or bid so far, the ability to do what a traditional satellite would do. Host your communications equipment, your cameras to look at the Earth, things for precision navigation and timing, like GPS type applications. And then we also use that same vehicle as an orbital service vehicle to deliver smaller satellites to precise custom orbits, to be the UPS of space, if you will. And then also have the ability in the future, we're working on the capability to reposition satellites, to refuel them, and to provide different types of services to our military and to customers like NASA to understand what's going on in space, to maneuver in space, to support their types of missions for things like reconnaissance and surveillance and all the things you'd see an airplane only doing in space.
John, you set out when we first spoke to you to make the company an industry leader in providing backbone infrastructure services in space. I think you've established that, but now competition is starting to be on the horizon, but you guys still continue to be the guys. How do you maintain that, and are you partnering with the Elon Musks of the world or the Jeff Bezos of the world to make it a better place?
We are a leader in our market space, and the way that we've done that is that we've now put up 3 spacecraft in under a year, from producing them, assembling them, flying them to orbit. And that is one of the ways you stay in front is you got to run fast. And so we've shown the ability to have agility to deliver customers in space. And when we first started talking, our technology hadn't yet flown in space. We hadn't shown what we can do. We've now done that with 3 missions. And so our core technology is been demonstrated in space. And those early missions, while we carried customers, a lot of that was developing and showing what our technology can do. So we have a core technology that's now been demonstrated in space successfully. And then after that, the other thing we've got to do is, as you say, partner with launch companies. We have flown on SpaceX. We've got a nice partnership with them so far. We do have agreements with other launch service providers, so we're not wholly dependent on a single provider. But and what's being shown there in the video was an animation of flying off a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket.
Yeah.
John, does the government ever step in and say, hey, you have a launch coming up, and well, if you see that giant space laser that's just sitting up there, don't talk about it with anybody, please. Just go on. just act like everything's normal.
A laser beam in space, yes. No, what they will do is they do set certain parameters. Like the image behind me was one of the first ones taken from our latest spacecraft we put into orbit called Vigoride 6. So they do set some limits about what you can photograph, how you can do it, the resolution, and other things. And they're also very careful, the FCC, in regulating your radio transmissions, both for interference and they want to keep track of what you're doing. So there are limitations like that. I think for our future work that we plan to do with the Defense Department, that will be a little bit different, the way that they will approach that. And there'll be certain things that they'll want you to do and certain things that they will, frankly, hope you turn your head and look the other way.
Well, John, on that subject, with respect to, there's services that you offer, and then there's services that you're going to offer. Anything kind of anything surprising you that, boy, I didn't think we'd ever do that? Or is it pretty much status quo on what you thought was going to happen with respect to your payloads and stuff?
Well, one of the things is we set out to build this, that has surprised me, is we've set out to build this very capable orbital service vehicle to do unique things in orbit. And the way that we designed it was with a lot of power, a lot of flexibility in its configuration, and the ability to carry a lot of payload, including unusually shaped items, because we can accommodate them in ways some of our peer companies cannot. One of the things that surprised me is the pull from the Defense Department to say, you have all these additional capabilities that you've built into your satellite bus, but we like it as a basic satellite activity to use for communication satellites, to use it for other activities. And so we've been notified of our first contract award to tailor our system to meet a lot of their needs. And I think that's going to be a very attractive market, because take the Space Development Agency, who has notified us of this initial award. They plan to put up several hundred small satellites to play the role that we used to be played by things that were the size of a Greyhound bus or a very large car. And they're instead doing that with a distributed throughout low Earth orbit ribbon, if you will, around the Earth of several hundred satellites. And the reason is they're cheaper.
Sure.
If you have a failure in one, you can replace that, and it doesn't affect the whole system's abilities. And they're worried about, our adversaries, countries like China and Russia, doing aggressive things in space. And so if you've got lots and lots of small ones, it's harder for somebody to black you out, as opposed to one very, very valuable satellite high up in geo orbit.
John, it is
38,000 kilometers above the Earth is where geo
John,
orbit is.
it is so great to hear from you again. And I got to tell you, we can't wait to get you in San Diego. You're invited anytime to come in and be in studio with us. We're going to keep you a lot longer than our typical 8 to 10 minute thing that we do with you. John Rood, CEO of a company called Momentus. Momentus. MNTS is their stock symbol. Go to Momentus.com, and guess what? Much more Big Biz Show coming up.